Welcome to the Wealthworthy Podcast. I'm Trisha.
Hi, I'm Derion.
Thanks for joining us. This week, we'll be diving in more about ourselves, and Derion is really going to give you the insight on his story. So my first question for you, Derion, is what made you interested in IT and marketing?
I always have been fascinated by IT since I was a child. Just growing up, I remember taking apart the VCR, and then my mom purchased me my first ever computer, which was an IBM. And I just was fascinated by the computer itself, just the parts, how it worked. And then as I progressed, as I've gotten older and became an adult, I kind of gravitated over into marketing. I remember going off to school when I started majoring in business, found that not to be so challenging, so I switched over my major to IT, and ever since then I've been rocking out with that. And then along the journey, having IT roles, and then I gravitated over to the marketing side and some branding. Just seeing how both of those go hand in hand, I think I just been able to kind of like find my niche and enjoy what I've been doing so far. Not exactly where I want to be, but it's a process along the journey. Each day you just give it 100% and try to move forward and put yourself in a position to win.
So what would you say is your dream job if you could create anything out of the fields you're in now, or like something completely different? What would be your dream job?
My dream job would be having my own company and just helping clients and companies kind of reach their goals within IT and marketing, and just being able to use my skills to be able to impart into others so that they could accomplish what they set out to accomplish.
So what advice would you give someone who was interested in your field?
Being able to build a strong network, knowing what it is you want to do in IT or marketing, because both of those fields are very broad. It's a lot of different avenues that you can take when it comes to that. Especially, I would say, for kids who are coming up, who are in like middle school, even high school, and even adults that are in college. It's all about, like I said before, networking. And now there's a lot of different organizations that offer like free coding classes. Pretty much anything you want to do in IT, you can learn it at a young age, so that when you do get to college, it makes it a little bit easier. And then for college students, it's always good to find a mentor, maybe find your internship where you can learn the hands-on skills and learn the knowledge that you need, so when you do get out in the workplace, it makes the transition into corporate a lot easier.
Agreed. I think the fear a lot of times is that we'll mess up or do something that's completely off course, and that'll change the trajectory for us. Are there any things that you think you could have done differently that would have helped propel you forward?
You always can do things different. I think for me personally, I think I probably would have built a stronger network. Probably would have got me an internship when I was in school, so that I was a little bit more prepared when I got out in the real world. I think that's the biggest thing, because once you get out in the real world, you can't really go back. All you can really do is just pick up where you're at and kind of restructure things how you feel they need to be.
Yeah, definitely. So I think when we think about what we could be doing and where we are now that we're in this new year, everyone makes resolutions. Is there something that you can do currently to help improve your situation now?
Definitely. I think nowadays, especially in IT and even in marketing, you can always go and get certifications. There are plenty of certifications that you can get. Like, I know as of right now, cybersecurity is big for companies, because especially with a lot of the different data breaches, companies are trying to protect their information just like you want to protect yours. So any type of IT certification is always good to go back and get. It definitely will strengthen your resume when you go out here looking for that particular IT role. With marketing, I think it's about finding a company or a client you can work with that you can build strong skills and kind of play off those, and building that rapport and relationship with others so that they know what you bring to the table, and you can kind of just build your portfolio and keep pushing forward and adding more to your plate as you go.
Now, I want to ask a couple of questions more about your lifestyle, right? Like, what type of things do you tell yourself? Are there any mantras that you have that kind of help you to get through your day to day?
One thing I always grew up on growing up was Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I still remember quoting that when I was young, and I still kind of live by that today. Even when things don't go as planned, I just always stay optimistic, keep a firm, positive attitude, and push through, because I'm a firm believer that things always get better. It's just about your mindset and being able to have the fortitude to keep going and trust your process. You know, life's a journey. You just have to be open to that and understand that things happen, and you just have to know that it's a part of your growth.
So how do you persevere, right? Because not everything goes well perfectly, but how do you convince yourself or stay the course?
I have my days. I think we all do, but I think just being self-motivated and also knowing that you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for others too, and knowing that other people believe in you. I would have to say two of my biggest motivations are my family and also you. You know, that's one of the main two things that keeps me going, because some days, as you like to say, I'll be over it, but I always try to just keep going because I know that things will get better.
Okay, I throw that in there. Well, how would you want to be remembered? Like when you think about leaving a legacy behind, like what things do you want people to remember you by?
For me, just always a giver, giving 100%, giving my best, a true friend. And I was just encouraging and pushing people, like pretty much when you don't have strength, being that person that you can confide in, knowing that I'm going to give you motivational words or positive aspirations for you to keep going, and just being able to make an impact, not just an impression. And when I say it like that, I mean like we all have a life we want. We all have certain things we do, but just not doing things in front of people, but also doing things, I guess if you want to say like in back of house. So if I tell you something, pretty much following the things I tell you, following those same steps in my day-to-day life.
To piggyback on that, how would you brand yourself? It's one thing to want to be remembered a certain way, but how do you put that aura out there and have people see you in that way?
I think it's just all about building your network. I think for me, especially with the IT and the marketing, you know how, especially for us, we always go to different events and things of that nature. So I think it's just people kind of know what you stand for and where you're going, and that's kind of how people remember you.
Okay. So is there a moment that you would say has shaped you to be the person that you are now?
Yeah, it's a lot of those moments. One of the biggest moments was just growing up. My mom was a single parent and my dad passed away when I was like 21. So I think for me, I always have known that I was going to always have to put in the extra work and do more than a lot of other people. And sometimes that can be challenging. You just take it one day at a time. You do what you have to do till you get where you want to be. And that's kind of what keeps me going. Just knowing that I'm not going to say it's all on me, but just being able to be that strength that others gravitate to.
When we talk about loss or just challenges that we face, how do you turn that around? Like, what's the source of your happiness? How do you maintain a positive mindset?
For me, maintaining a positive mindset, it hasn't been that challenging to an extent, but yes and no. How can I say it? Growing up, my mom always instilled in me to have a positive attitude. She always said confidence was key. And she always pretty much used to always tell me, you can walk in a room and only have $1, and people in the room can have $1 million, but it's all on how you carry yourself, because these people don't know what you got. So it's about happiness, just knowing that things are going to change, having faith in God, knowing that He's going to get me through anything, no matter the situation. So like for me, I think dealing with loss at a young age and just being an underdog to an extent, you kind of move differently, right? So it's like if things don't go as planned, that they'll work out, and you just keep pushing forward and doing the necessary things you need to do. I think for people who have always had exactly what they wanted in life, they don't value it the same way, versus people who have had to work hard, they look at it a little bit different. So the challenges are a little bit different, and it's kind of like, like I only have one shot to make this right. So you kind of look at it from that standpoint, versus you have a lot of different chances. Not saying you don't have chances, because you do, but I think it's just about trying to do it right the first time makes it a lot easier on you.
We all have challenges. Everyone approaches things differently, and we've talked a good bit in the past about about dealing with fear, but what would you say is currently your biggest fear, and how do you look at ways to overcome that?
I wouldn't necessarily say I have a fear. I just know where I don't want to be and where I want to be. So it's like you make progress each day. You do your best, and you know that the things you do with the hard work, things are going to change. But I think it's just, like I said before, being able to make an impact and leaving a legacy and always making progress. Even when I think about New Year's resolutions, I think it's not even about resolutions. It's just about each year you should be making some type of progress in your life, no matter what that is, whether it's big or small. You should be making some type of progress forward and not getting stagnant or getting comfortable in wherever it is you're in your life. And I think it's easy to get comfortable because we all feel like, yep, we have the job we want, we have the house we want, we have the spouse we want, kids, everything is just in your mind, A-okay, but you always should want to progress and do more.
So what kind of things do you see in your own outlook? If you're looking out 5 years from now, where would you want to be in your life? What kind of things are you working towards? What's on the agenda?
On the agenda, next 5 years. For me, I don't know if I would say for me, I guess I could say for us. But next 5 years, progressing in my field, moving up, getting the role I want, continuing to grow, see marriage and a family, of course, and just continue to make progress and coming up with a game plan to be able to work smarter, not harder, so that I can devote more of my time towards my dreams and accomplishing those things, and of course making our life easier.
Here's a fun question.
Fun question.
Because we talk a lot about wealth and trying to feel empowered to do anything, what would you do if you inherited a large sum of money today?
If you gave me a large sum of money today, the first thing I would do is thank God, of course, and then I would invest a portion of it so that it could go ahead and start bringing in more money for us. And then after that, I would just kind of see what made the most sense and how we could use it. The biggest thing, you want it to grow. Because I think that's where sometimes people get, I'm not going to say they get confused, but it's like, it's the difference between wealth and being rich. I look at it kind of like, especially for me, since I played basketball, it's like you can give an athlete a contract and tell them, hey, you get $20 million for the next 5 years guaranteed, versus you give someone an endorsement deal for the rest of your life. I think that's the difference between being rich and being wealthy.
Just thinking through that, what would you say is the best advice you've ever received? So in just talking about investing money, thinking through ways to grow your money, thinking through ways to continue earning passive income, like where did that all come from? And is there something that's good advice that you've received that you would want to share?
You should always have a side hustle. So that means if you clocking into someone's job every day, you should always have a second form of income coming in, no matter what it is you do. So I think being able to use your skills to bring in money on the side is always good. I always tell people, you should never put all your eggs in one basket, no matter what it is you do. Whether you work in corporate or you've been like myself, an independent contractor, you always gotta set yourself up for success and just understand that in order for you to get where you want to be, you just gotta make certain sacrifices. Some advice I've gotten from others is just never quit. Always keep pushing and give it 100%, and always give it your best, because at the end of the day, you may not think others are watching you, but someone's always watching you, and you're making an impact on others' lives, whether you know it or not. I think that's the cool thing about life. Even though sometimes we may not be where we want to be, someone's always watching, and even though you may feel like you're not doing enough, someone else may feel like you're an amazing person and that you're the best thing that ever happened on earth. So I always say, just keep pushing and never give up and be optimistic. I know sometimes she always say I'm super optimistic, but I just always feel like things will always work themselves out. I think it's more about your mindset and hard work than it is anything else.
So my last question for you would be around inspiration. So what kinds of things inspire you? I think the best way for you to really achieve any goals that you set out to do is to be deliberate and have a well-defined idea of what your day-to-day steps look like or your next few months look like so that you're working towards it. But what inspires you to continue on?
I think what really inspires me to continue on is just growth and not becoming stagnant. I think that's the worst thing that anyone can do is become comfortable with whatever situation it is that you're in, that family, you, and just really just want to make an impact on others and showing people that yes, no matter what your situation is, you can change that and you can have the life that you want. It's just about putting in the work and making the sacrifices and going the extra mile to achieve the things you want to achieve in life, and just trusting the process and enjoying the journey along the way. I think that's important to understand too, because it's life and it's like a roller coaster. You have your ups and your downs, but at the end of the day, you can always come out on top.
Well. All right. So you heard it here. Derion says, don't be comfortable. Life's a roller coaster. Enjoy it while you can. What else would you want people to remember out of our discussion today?
Last and final words. Just always be authentic and be yourself, man. I think that's another thing I forgot to mention. God created you to be greater with a purpose. So just always be yourself and understand that you bring a lot to the table. Don't let nobody change that. Signing off.
Thank you, Derion. And thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll speak with you again next week. And thanks for joining us on Well 40. Bye.